Got a couple years under our belts of using the bus, and really everything has worked pretty well. I can't really say I have many complaints about this thing. It's all the waters function, propane, the electrical, everything has done its job. Of course, that doesn't mean I haven't seen some room for improvements. And today's improvement we're going to work on is moving the freshwater tank. So the freshwater tank has been housed under the bed in the main little bed area, and it kind of blocks up a little bit of storage. I've been using it, bed lifts up like that. I've been using the area behind it for some storage. However, I realized I think we can make this work a little bit better by moving it basically right over here. So working on that change right now. Gonna figure out how I'm gonna secure this thing down. Got to do a little bit of plumbing work to change some things around, but time to get at it and make some bus changes as we're getting pretty close to the time of needing to use it. Had to dismantle a number of things to get to this point. Had to kind of take apart this area of the wheel well housing covering, and that is going to allow this to be able to actually fit in perfectly somehow, thankfully, right in this region. And need to relocate, remount the water pump, and then got to redo a little bit of the plumbing lines to get to the water pump, and then redo some of the plumbing lines for how the freshwater tank feeds the water pump. So time to get at it and see what I can figure out here. Hopefully I'm not causing more of a mess by disturbing things, but we'll find out. That's ultimately where I want it to land. So I've got to, what am I doing here? This will be the new intake for the water. So I've got to route this line around to here. This will be, what is that? Oh, I'm an idiot. This is the vent. So you got to have your vent line. So I'll work on making some fittings so that this doesn't get kinked up, because that will probably just get kinked up. And then down here will be the new feed line for the water pump, so that will come through here over, and yeah, see if we can't make this thing work. If I can figure out how to use my saw. Safety first, wherever my safety glasses are. Well, this is going to be interesting. Don't exactly have the space to do this. So this is ultimately pretty much where I want it. I needed to saw that little piece of wood out so that I could have an area for this fitting, so that this will feed the water pump. Now I just need to chisel away a little bit of this insulation. Let's go ahead and get the water pump mounted up to the wall. Making a little progress. We got these lines for the feed going over. Nothing is secured fully yet. Pump mounted to the wall. And then that junction to go where the feed and water pump used to be. So now I need to figure out how exactly I'm going to secure this tank in place. I'm going to take a piece of wood and screw it down to the floor there so that it can't go that way anymore. Clearly it's not going to go forward and backwards because it is sandwiched in between this and the wall back there. All right, I made this little brace down here. That will screw to the floor. This is screwed into it. And what that will do is when the water tank gets pretty full, it starts to bulge out a little bit on the sides. And I'm trying to give it a little bit of support, which is actually the real reason why I started this project and was going to make a some better bracing, better security for the water tank. And then it kind of escalated into let's take apart a bunch of stuff and make some more room. Back at it, got some different fittings for here to connect this hose that's too short. Is that the right size? Yeah, it's the right size. And some hose clamps. What else did I get? I don't know. Oh, a fitting for that, a right angle fitting that is somewhere around here to allow that to go to the vent. So, time to get started again. I just had my Teflon tape. I'm a little bit of a disaster. Hey, there it is, hiding under a box. Well, actually, I was going to go ahead and start sealing this thing up, but I remembered I wanted to go ahead and sanitize the crap out of this thing just because it's loose out. I do periodic sanitization with throw some bleach in the system, but right now I can get a really good shake wash around with it. So I'm going to undo all this stuff, pull it out, clean it, and then get it back in here. So while the freshwater tank is drying out from my cleansing, I'm going to go ahead and work on a different drain system for the gray water tank, as it's been a little bit of a makeshift drain that's kind of been a pain. So got a valve, some new fittings, some larger hose so that it drains a little bit quicker. Also, somewhere along the way, I cut myself and leave it to my daughter to have some nice Hello Kitty Band-Aids. So this one's for you, James Walker. I think I have my plan together for how I'm going to attack this. But everything has to go together in a pretty specific sequence because this is a big old puzzle. So now that I have everything finalized on how I want to do it, I need to pop this back out of place. I've got to get the floor, this little floor section covering that covers the wheel well housing back in place, which can only go to slide under the bathroom wall from this side. So I've got to get it back over here, slid under, trim an edge off of that, and then start finagling this thing somewhat back together. It's we'll see how it goes. I'm not totally sure how this is going to go. It's a little bit complicated. Got to get this panel under here, which was a bit of a bear to get out. I had some screws going into it, had to get a Sawzall out and do some chopping underneath. Ow! Oh, God. I've been so careful of doing that. That hurt. So now I realize also in this process, I was going to trim. I need to trim like a 1/2 inch off of this piece of plywood. But when I get to the wall, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I need to pull this out. So thankfully I didn't get it all the way back in and cut this ledge. Hey, that was pretty straight. Well, while back here working on the freshwater tank stuff, I also want to go ahead and work on boxing in the batteries a little bit. So need to figure out how exactly I'm going to do this. I think I'll put an anchor back here, a couple anchors here, one coming up here, and start making a little fixture for this. I want to go ahead and do this all now and not go ahead and take care of the freshwater tank because I want to take any wood pieces back out before I finalize them in place, because it's way easier to paint them while out of the bus versus having to paint and try to trim and whatever. So I can throw some paint on pretty easily if I mock everything up, build it temporarily, pull it back out, and then paint it and then throw it in. 25.5 by 34. Got my box built and I think it's going to work out fairly well. Got it configured right here. Using a bunch of old scrap wood I've got. And that's it. So now I need to take this back out, paint it, paint the other stuff that I have for securing the water tank, and then start wrapping this up by getting everything buttoned up and actually finalized in place. Painting complete. Now to get this stuff back in the bus. Maybe not quite as dry as I thought it was in certain spots. All right, I dig that. You guys don't want to see my butt crack. All right, that box is in. We got pretty much everything buttoned up over here. Got it secured back here. Hose is all hooked up, zip tied in place. Oh, baby. Time to put the bathroom back together. I had to undo some stuff over here for getting this panel out. Get that back together and then get this baby cleaned up. Well, that about wraps up this bus project. Pretty thrilled with how it came out. Let's go ahead and take a little peek at what we got going on now that everything is all cleaned up. You see, added a dresser here, which is going to be super nice for not having to take quite as many bags on bus trips. Take a little look at what we got going on under here. Got some more storage areas, some little stackable bins, nice little shelf area now that that's boxed in. Everything is all buttoned up, looking good with the fresh water tank. Everything works. Bathroom's put back together from having to take half this crap apart. And, well, now I'm pretty amped and ready to go use this thing. Got a few more projects to work on. Got an oil pan gasket, oil change, some other bus maintenance things to do, just mechanical maintenance, make sure this thing's running well. But that'll be for another time. This is enough for right now. And yeah, can't wait to use this thing. You want to see more of this? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, let us know what you think.